Can you give an idea of the number of horses that were involved, not in the film, in the war?
My figures from my research, when I first rang up the Imperial War Museum, they told me that something in the region, they cannot be sure, of 1 million horses went to the First World War. Many of them actually from America, I learnt later. They were shipped over from America. Many, there simply weren't enough in the country. But about 1 million went. And they do know how many came back, which was 65,000. I worked out that, roughly speaking, the same number of horses as men died in the First World War. We think that 10 million men, fighting men, died in the First World War. Half, by the way, the Second World War. But 10 million is enough. And so probably 10 million horses also died. And the interesting thing to me in the writing of it and the telling of it in the first place, and I'm sure to Spielberg and to National Theatre, is that we all understand that they died the same way, which is what unites us. They died of exhaustion, they died of disease, they died on the wire, they died in the mud, and the machine guns and the shelling. Just the same. And so I think that's why it seems to me both the play and the film resonate for people, because of course they represent innocence, these horses. And it is a slaughter of the innocents that happened. So I suppose that's why now, because of Iraq and because of Afghanistan and because of coffins coming home, it's the book which really hardly is sold at all and was hardly ever read, is now being read. I mean, it has something to do with Spielberg. But the reason that Spielberg made it, I think, and the reason that the National Theatre realized that it was a story of the moment, is because we're all thinking about these things. And it wounds us when we think about it.
Can we have another question, please? Don't be shy. Anybody out there? Yes, please, in the middle.
Has Steven Spielberg started reading your other books?
I sent him 95 of them. I don't think in your lifetime you can hope for more than one film from Steven Spielberg.
Anybody else got a question?
Do
Please.
you know if Steven Spielberg preferred the book or the film?
I don't know. I haven't asked him about that. I think he wouldn't prefer the one or the other because he knows they're different. And it's the same thing with the play, really. I think it's really difficult to judge things side by side and compare them. To me, they're all three of them very different animals, if you like. I don't know what Spielberg thought. I know the book is best.
Well, quite right. But certainly, it's true to say that Spielberg talks very openly about the fact that he had the book with him throughout the whole film. And when he needed to find the characters or needed to delve in, he admits that he went back to the book. So
he did have the book there. Yeah, he did. He had the script, and he had the book, and he had his own vision of it, and of what he'd seen at the National. And I think he took the best from the play. Have you seen the play? Right, you know the goose in the play?
Yes.
I mean, he pinched it, you know? And there was many, many lines. He went to the National Theatre. He was very open about it. He went to the National Theatre and said, "You've just done the most wonderful, wonderful play. I want to pinch bits of it." And they said, "Of course you can." And it's wonderful that he had the humility not to think, "I'm the big Hollywood filmmaker. I can make a better thing of it than the play." He knew the play was extraordinary, which is why he wanted to have, there are an awful lot of lines from it, and also some plot as well.
Do we have another question? Yes.
How long was it when you left the location in Devon to when you saw the final film? Did you see a rough cut or any rushes, or did you
No,
see the end product?
I didn't. I just saw the end product, first of all, in a premiere in New York, which is fine. I'm not really good, actually. I've just seen, for instance, a rough cut of another film that's being made of a book called Private Peaceful. And the film's been made, and I've just seen a rough cut of that. And I'm really bad at imagining how it's going to be when it's completely done with the music and all sort of smoothed over. So I'm really glad I didn't see a rough cut of War Horse. No, I just sat down there at a cast and crew showing in London, first of all, and then I went to New York and walked along the longest, reddest carpet. I mean, they do things properly, the Americans. They said, with great pride, as I got to the end of the red carpet, after about an hour, they said, "It's even longer than Harry Potter."
Right through. And then the performance. I think we've got time for 2 more questions. Do we have 2 more questions? Yes? No?
There's a girl over here.
When did you start writing?
When? I started writing about 40 years ago. And I'm about 45, so I started writing quite... No, about 40 years ago now. I was a teacher and teaching in school and telling stories to the children that I taught and began to write them down. Why? Are you thinking of being a writer? It's not a bad job because no one tells you what to do, and if Spielberg makes a film of it, you get a bit of money.
Earlier you were saying that it was very difficult to look at the picture of the cavalry and the horses on the wire, the picture that's in your home, but you did look. Why do you look? What do you feel? What makes you look at that?
That's a really good question. I think it's because I felt I had to, that you can shy away from it and just read the books on it. I mean, the thing is that when it comes to war, I'm a war baby. I was born in 43, so I grew up just after the Second World War, not having been to war, but seeing the results of it in people's eyes and in the blown up buildings and all that sort of thing. And I suppose quite a lot of my life I've been becoming accustomed to loss and suffering that happened in war. I had an uncle whom I never knew was killed in 1941, and my mother lived with the grief of that all her life. I didn't. You don't grieve over someone who's a photograph on a mantelpiece. What you do is you hero worship them. And I think I was brought up to feel that these people who went and did what they did were very brave. And I'd always ask myself the question, could I be that brave? It's one of the reasons I went to be a soldier at some point. And I suspect that my thinking then, I can't think back, but I suspect it is, if I can't really look at a picture like that, that actually isn't very brave. You have to confront the realities of these things. What I think, if I can relate this to the film, there were moments in that film when I want to turn away. That's what makes it a really good film in places. He doesn't spread blood and guts around the place. What he does do is he tells you that it's a place of terrible suffering, a battlefield. I don't know if you remember when the cavalry charge, and we've just been in this enormously, in a way, exciting cavalry charge. And then when it's over, all he does is to bring the camera right up and you simply see the result of it. It's one of the most telling moments, I think, I've ever seen on cinema without blood and guts. And he does it time and time again. He does it by suggestion. Do you remember the moment in the film, which I think is one of the really, truly great moments of cinema? When Captain Nichols is charging on his horse, and it all looks fine and dandy. They've gone through the German camp, and it all looks great. And then the machine guns, you go to where the machine guns are. And then the camera comes back onto Tom Hiddleston's face, Captain Nichols' face, as he realizes that he's going to die. And Spielberg apparently told him, it's the most extraordinary advice, really, I've ever heard to an actor. He said to Tom, time and time again, you know, you are this confident 29-year-old English officer. You are going to win. You feel triumphant. That's how you get on your horse. That's how you charge. Now, he says, at this particular moment, I want you to peel away the years and become 12, and to know that you're going to die now. And you go from his face to the machine gun, and the next thing you see is a riderless horse. It's the most extraordinary piece of cinema, I think. There are moments like that, and I think it is, for me, when I see that, this facing, which these young men must have done, millions of them, facing their own deaths. I don't wish it upon myself, but I do still ask myself the question if I could have done that.
Can we all show our appreciation, please, for Michael Morpurgo? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.